Today's video is the second part in my three-part series going through a couple of the different whiteboard apps on the iPad. The first video, I talked about the Google offering called Jamboard. It's a little more simplistic in its features, and sometimes it's really nice to have that simplicity. But if you need something that has quite a few more options and features, I think if we go to the other end of the spectrum, the one I'm going to talk about today is ExplainEverything. They do have a free version, but they also offer a paid version which just has a few more features and some cloud storage and things like that. And it doesn't cost too much. You can get it for $6.99 a month, or you can do a yearly plan that's just a little bit less. Now, as I mentioned in my very first video, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of each one. And in my first video with Jamboard, one of my biggest cons was it's kind of hard and there isn't many options for adjusting the pen size. So you can either write and it's very small and thin, or you can go just a little bit bigger. In the next two apps I'm going to talk about, they give you that ability to make your pen tool much, much bigger. So if that's something that's important to you, then these two apps I'm going to cover in these next two videos are going to be the ones that'll be a little more up your alley. But as I said, I'm going to talk about ExplainEverything today. This is going to go kind of completely to the opposite direction of Jamboard. Jamboard does the basics really, really well. And again, it's in that simplicity. Sometimes it's nice. When you're in the middle of class, sometimes having those simple features, quick and easy, and it works well, is really nice to have. But if you're doing things that go a lot more in depth, having those additional features might be to your benefit. So ExplainEverything is kind of going, as I mentioned earlier, in that extreme opposite direction, as it has a ton of features. There is one feature with it, though, I'm really hoping they add soon. And for me, when they add this feature, I'll probably shift to it. The third video is going to cover the one that I use. But in this video, in ExplainEverything, the one feature I really feel is lacking is their erasing feature. And I'll show it in the video, but the way to erase is you select the eraser and you actually physically erase like a normal eraser. There's no clear the entire slide. There's no options like that where you can quickly clear a bunch of things. Some of the apps, even if you just tap the line with the eraser, it'll erase that whole line. ExplainEverything, you physically have to erase. And they really don't give you a lot of options to make that eraser tool really big. It's still kind of on that small side. If they at least would allow it to go really large, it would just take you a minute or so. Well, not really a minute or so, but it would just take you a couple quick seconds to erase everything. But having it small, that's, in my opinion, where it lacks a bit. If you don't do a lot of erasing in your whiteboard app while you're teaching, but you need the power, ExplainEverything is an awesome app, and I really hope they do add it soon. I have suggested it as a feature suggestion, and I know many others have also suggested the same thing. Before we dig in, though, please take a moment and help support my channel by hitting that subscribe button right down below. It is greatly appreciated by doing that, and I really do thank you for subscribing to my channel. It does help support me, and I really, again, as I said, I do really appreciate it. So without further ado, let's jump in to ExplainEverything. Once you open up the app on your iPad, it's going to take you to their main splash screen where you have a lot of options here. As I said, this is probably the most powerful of all the whiteboard apps. So across the top here, you're going to see a few new options. You're going to see New, which allows you to create a new whiteboard. You can invite and collaborate. So if you have multiple people with ExplainEverything accounts, you can actually invite them in and you can all work together on a whiteboard. You can join one. So if somebody else has the ExplainEverything app, you can actually click on that and join theirs, or you can share out your whiteboard. A little lower down, you have all your recent projects. Then a little lower than that, they have some guides that show you how to do some different things. Then you have a learning section where they actually teach you how to use the app a bit, which is really, really nice about this app. There's a lot of support for it. It's a really good community. Across the bottom, you're going to see a couple of options. The first is your Home tab. This takes you right to your home screen, which is the screen we're on right now. The next one is your library, which just takes you to a list of all the different whiteboards you've done. Then you have the Learn tab, which, just like it says, you want to learn. And it'll take you through all sorts of help videos and other things that will help you get better with ExplainEverything. And then you have a search that you can search through your library. So from the home screen, we're going to start a new. And from here, you can start a blank canvas, you can work from a template, or you can actually upload one of your files. So if you have a PowerPoint presentation or a PDF worksheet that you want to do with your class, you can actually open that right up in it and start writing right on the document directly. In the templates, they give you some basics. They have blank staff paper, they have a green chalkboard, black chalkboard, they have all sorts of templates, and you can also create your own templates. So if there's a kind of background that you use all the time, you can actually preload that into a template, so it's always ready to go. So we're going to select blank canvas. So it's going to open up in your editor, and there is a ton of features on this screen. That is the one thing with Explain Everything. It's very simple to get going and just kind of get started with the app. Very easy to jump in on it. There's not a very steep learning curve. However, you can make this extremely advanced. So it can take just a little bit of time to sit and play around with all the features and just discover everything it can do. So on the top right-hand corner, you'll see the invite button. So you can invite somebody else to work on your whiteboard with you. You'll see the little up with the sideways arrow there. That allows you to share your whiteboard with somebody else. If you tap on the three dots, it kind of is your account settings, but it gives you back to a main area. You can click on your settings for your account. You can go to their help center, read through the manual, video hints, and about the app. On the bottom right-hand corner, you can add multiple whiteboard screens. So you'll see there's a little plus button with the multiple screens. So now we're adding it, and now you'll see a 2/2 with an up arrow. And then you got the navigation arrow, so I can back up one page, go forward a page. I can hit the plus button to add a third page, add a fourth page, and I can bounce around between them. And if you hit that little up arrow, you can quickly jump between them. If you tap your finger on one of the screens, you can slide it around to change the order. Or if you click on it, you'll see it becomes a check mark. So let's check those three. I can multiply them. I can change their background color or their pattern color. And I can also delete them by tapping on the trash can. So now I'm right back to 1. Down in the bottom center, you can actually record these. So if you've ever watched those YouTube videos where you see the animations as the people are drawing and it gets more complex, you can do the same thing right in here. Or if you want to pre-record a lesson, you can actually record it right within the app. Really kind of a cool feature. I'm going to skip this left panel for a second. So on the top left, you've got the projects button. If I tap that, it will take me right back to my main screen. If I tap on the little whiteboard 3 with the down arrow, it allows me to change the name of this specific whiteboard. So I can change it to tutorial. You can quick save. You can copy it to your Explain drive, which is your cloud storage. You can change the framing of it. You can duplicate it, or you can save it as a template. So if you, for example, have a background that you want to use, say you're a math teacher or a social studies teacher, and you want to have like a map of the United States, or you want to have a formula spreadsheet that you can quickly get to all the time, you can load up that document and then hit save as a template so you can quickly get back to that and it starts from a clean screen. Great way to do it. And then when you're done, you just tap off of it and you're good to go. So that's kind of the navigation menus. Now we're going to start along this left-hand side. So if I start at the very top and click the little kind of looks like the little paper icon with the plus button, this is where it gets very powerful. You can insert a picture, insert a video. You can insert a browser page. You can scan a file. You can put in an equation, or you can even insert audio. So lots and lots of things that you can insert into it. Then down below, you can insert existing image or video. You can insert a file you already have, some clip art, an image or a GIF, depending on how you want to say it. You can insert existing audio, placeholders, and then it kind of shows you a list of your recent files that you've used on your iPad. I'm not going to go through and show a ton of this right now because it's all very basic and it would take forever, but it just allows you to insert these different things. And most of the whiteboard apps allow for all this. You can insert a picture. So I can hit picture, take a photo, take an infinity photo of my screen, tell it to use the photo, hit done, And now I can manipulate the photo. I've got two fingers placed on my screen. I can zoom in, zoom out. And then if I tap on the pen tool, I can draw all over it and do all sorts of crazy things. And then you can use all your standard whiteboard stuff for that. Delete that. The other thing I wanted to show, because it's just so unique to this app, is the browser. So if I tap on browser, it's actually going to open up a web browser. So let's say I just wanted to go to google.com or some website that you have. So now I can take the pen tool. Let's make the pen a little bit smaller here. I can actually start drawing right over it. And then move it all around and the text will move with it. Then I could tap back on the URL bar and I can put in another site like Yahoo. And it'll put up the Yahoo homepage. So that's a really, really unique feature that is just specific to this app. So let's delete that. So again, you tap on the top left of the toolbar, the little papery looking icon with the plus buttons, and then it gives you all these options. So let's say, for example, you want to use this app kind of like a document camera. You have the document sitting on your desk. You can tap on picture, take a picture of the document, and it's right on your page, and you can begin writing all over it. So that's the first button. The second button is the little thumb, or kind of the hand icon that you see. You can snap objects, touch and hold, drag and drop, and zoom and pan by using your fingers. So if you want to manipulate the page at all or anything on it, you would tap on that finger and you can manipulate it. So let me just do some drawings here. I am not an artist at all. Really bad bird. Now let's say I want to do something with one of those. I tap on that hand and now I can move around those drawings. So you actually have to tap on the object and then you can move it around. Then if I tap and hold on it, it'll pop up and it'll give you a lot of different options. It's called the inspector. I will get to that in a bit, but that's how you can also delete that object. So I'm going to tap and hold on this other object and delete it. So that's the handprint. So if you ever want to move things around or manipulate the page using your finger, you want to make sure you tap on that finger, that hand icon in order to do that. The next one is your pen tool. This is where you have a ton of options. So you're going to notice above a lot of these options, you'll see those two lines. If I take my finger, you can actually slide this panel around the page depending where you want it. So I usually just kind of keep it over there, but it's just an option that you can do. So you just take your finger on those two little lines at the top there, and you can just slide it all around. So the first one is the pen size. And again, this is where this app kind of shines a bit more over the Jamboard app. You can see all the different thicknesses that you can use for pen lines. I'll just quickly show all the different options. So this is really nice because I do a lot of music note writing, so it's really handy, and it really does get quite thick. So you can see all those different options that you have with the size of the pen tool. Really, really handy. The next one down from there is the pen type. So right now I'm on a standard pen. Then I could tap on a pencil, and you can even select the pencil type. So like a 2B pencil. Oops, but I'm still on the really thick. Let's go a little thinner. And what you'll notice is at the top it started kind of light and then it got darker as I went down the page. That's because I pushed harder with my Apple Pencil on the screen. And then let's get these erased. And again, this is where I say this app does kind of fall apart a little bit. Sometimes it's easier to use the undo button. Now we've got the ruler. If I take my two fingers on the ruler, So I actually have two fingers on the screen, and I can position my ruler around. And then if I use my Apple Pencil and draw near that line, I have to tap on the pen tool. It will draw a nice straight line, and it gives you the angles. Oop, tap back on the pen tool. So it allows you to make some really, really precise angles, which is really kind of handy. And all you have to do is tap on the pen tool and tap on the ruler for it to go away. From here, now you can just play around with your colors. So you can select a color palette. So you kind of have go-to colors. Or you can just change them from here. And you'll notice on the left, it'll change. So it'll allow me to have pre-programmed colors already ready to go. So you don't have to sit there and keep switching back and forth between them. So if I want to go straight to red, to green. And the other thing you can do too is select the opacity. So you can make it really dark, or you can go quite light. So even within each color, there's a lot of flexibility in what you can do. So we're going to turn that all the way back up. So that's all your pen tool options. So you got your pen thickness, you got your pen type and the ruler, then you've got your different colors that you can pre-program. The next is your highlighter tool. Works just like you expect. It's just like a highlighter. And again, you can adjust the thickness of that highlighter. So if you have a document that's pulled up on screen, you can use the highlighter to highlight parts of that document. And again, you have all the different colors. And just like before, you can tap on it to even change the color from there. So let's undo all those. Okay, now I'm going to go back to all those drawings I did. I'm going to zoom in a bit. Now, this, in my opinion, is where the weakness of this app comes in. So let's say I want to erase all that really, really quickly and easily. On a lot of the other apps, there's a way to just erase everything on the screen. Either tap on the eraser twice or anything like that. In this app, you tap on the eraser. You've got your thickness tool, which I've got it as thick as I possibly can, and it gives you some eraser options. The one that's selected will erase everything. The one below it is you can erase parts of a picture. Again, play around with it to see the specifics and how it works, but here's where you're going to see it quickly fails. See how small that eraser is? I'm kind of doing it sort of quickly here because I've gotten used to it, but if I'm in the middle of a class and quickly want to erase everything that's on the document I did, this is very time consuming to waste this kind of time in a class. And this is one of my main issues with this app. If they can fix that where they could clear all the pen writings right away, I'd be using this app 100% and I would suggest it to everybody just because it has so many features. It's just such a powerful app, but as you can see, it's taken me a while just to erase all this. And in the middle of a class, or if you're doing a meeting using this app, this is the last thing you want to be doing. This is very monotonous and frustrating. It would be nice to have just a clear all. And if this is an app you really do like but are being held back because of this feature, go to their site and make suggestions. I think if they heard from enough people, they would enable this feature. So that is my main gripe with this app. The next one is you have a fill tool. So let's say draw a circle. I go to a fill and I want that filled red. Boom. I just tapped inside the circle and it's filled red. Tap outside and it fills the whole background. So that's a pretty simple tool. The next one is your shapes tool. So it allows you to create shapes very quickly. So you'll see it has the star, the arrow, the line, the box, the kind of rounded corner box, and the circle. And all I do is I hold on the screen, let go, and boom, it's there. And now I can use my finger and I can move it around the screen any way I want. Now you can choose the colors. You can choose the border width. So let's say I wanted a really thick border. And then let's say I want to go to a really thin border. Or even no border at all, you could slide it all the way down. The next tool you'll see this option right below the pen tool, and it's kind of got the dots with the pencil. And what that does is it tries to match the shape you're drawing. And that was a really bad shape. Let's try that again. Let me see if I can... Can't match the shape. Let's try a star. As I said, this is not my strength. Oh my good grief. All right, let's try a square. This is really embarrassing. There we go, it matched my square. So if you're halfway decent, and I'm sure with a little bit of practice you can get this down, but it'll snap the shapes. So if you're drawing a circle, it'll snap it to a circle, to an oval, to a square, or to any other shapes that you might be drawing, especially if you have a little bit of artistic ability. So the next one in this option is where it adds a drop shadow. So if you tap on the tree, you'll see that the shadow goes and goes away. So we're going to turn it on, and what you'll see is on this right-hand side, you're going to notice there's a little shadow now around it. It kind of gives it a little separation from the page. If you work in Photoshop a lot or any photo editor where you're doing layers and things like that, you can always add the effect called drop shadow. And it just gives it a little bit of separation. So it's kind of a handy tool if you want to be able to do that. So we're going to undo all these. This is kind of the quick way to erase. I find it's a lot quicker than using the eraser tool. And there's the edit, undo, and then there's the redo. So we've gone through the object placer, the hand tool, the pen, the highlighter, the eraser, the fill, and the shape. The next one is the text, and that's just like it says. You can choose the type of text, the font, the size, the style of where it's aligned, bold, italicized, underlined, and formulas. So now you can actually type in text. I can move it all around and things like that. So it allows you just to type things in. Very, very straightforward. The next tool you have is called the duplicate tool. And what it's going to do is where you touch on the screen with the apple, it's going to allow you to select an area and it's going to duplicate what's there. And then if I use the finger tool, I can actually move all those around. So if you need to quickly duplicate things, that's the way you can do it. The next tool down is kind of a quick select delete. This is more along the lines of the eraser tool. It's still a little more awkward, but it is a quicker way to erase things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do some generic drawings. Draw some quick notes. This here. Now if I tap on the X icon and I tap on one of those objects, it'll give me the X in the right hand corner and I can quickly delete that whole section. So it is a quick way to get rid of things. To me, it's still a little more awkward, but it is another option for deleting things. All right, so now again, I'm going to place some things. Now this next option looks like a little target sign. So this is more if you're presenting. So from your iPad, you might be using an Apple TV or a D10 TV or any other device that allows you to project what's on your screen. And if you tap on the target tool, you can use it. So right now I have an arrow selected where I can point and people will see what I'm pointing at that are being projected to. And if you tap on that target again, it gives you a lot of different options. So you can have a small laser. So you can circle an area, you have the bigger laser, you have a red arrow, blue, green, a little different sized arrow. Then you've got the black, the white arrow, the hand. My favorite being a huge Star Wars fan, as you can see behind me in some of my intro videos. You can even do a lightsaber to have it point to your object. So that's kind of a fun little presentation tool. The next one down is called the inspector. This allows you to do all sorts of stuff. So when you tap on the inspector and then tap on an object, you're going to see that you can lock that object. You can lock the rotation, lock the scale, lock the horizontal, lock the vertical, or snap rotation. So that's under the lock tool. Under the edit, I can duplicate, I can copy and paste it, I can deselect all, I can, let me use the hand tool here to move it. Let me go back to the inspector and click on that. I can flip the left right, I can flip the up down, I can auto rotate it, and I can have the speed be controlled so it just sits there and actually rotates freely. I can go back to the inspector. I can arrange it, so if I have a lot of layers, you can adjust where it is within those layers, or you can just hit the delete and that item's gone. So I can tap through all my items and quickly delete them. So we're going to put a couple pen writing tools up here. The next option down is pretty straightforward, as you see it in just about every program you work with. It's the undo redo. So it's that little backwards arrow, and it just undoes one item at a time, or I can put back one item at a time. If you do want to do some quick erasing, sometimes that's the way to go, because this app is so powerful and there's so many awesome features with it. To be able to work within it is really nice. So sometimes you just, maybe those compromises are worth it for all the features that it has. So this is just another quick way to be able to erase. And when I do use this app, that's the way I tend to do it, because it is pretty quick. And you sit there, tap, 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 and everything's gone, or tap, 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 and everything comes back. The last of the options is this little icon. Now you can have the standard where it shows everything on the screen, but let's say you're doing a presentation and you don't want all that gobbledygook there. You can put it in what's called presenter mode, and you'll all of a sudden see all those other menus just disappear. And then if I do simple, it will bring some of those back, but it'll also make them a little bit bigger. So it'll just kind of give you those simple, quick features you might use all the time. So when you're presenting, you might want to click on presenter, because when I'm just selected and working around within it, I don't need to have all that gobbledygook on the screen. But let's say I want to go back to my standard view. You just tap on that and hit standard. The last piece, to move around any of the stuff, you notice a lot of times I'm moving around the image on the screen. I'm zooming in and out with it. How you do that is with 2 fingers at the same time on the iPad. So when I'm touching it with 2 fingers, I can move my fingers around in a circle. I can spread them apart to zoom in, and then I can use 2 fingers scrolling to move it around the way I want. I can pinch my fingers to zoom out. So it allows you to have all those different controls. And then when I'm all done, I tap on projects and I'm right back to my main screen. I hope you found this video helpful. As you can see, Explain Everything has a ton of features and is a very, very powerful whiteboard app for your iPad. If you need a lot of those features, I would highly suggest going with this app. Again, if the eraser tool is really important for you, play around with it a little bit, see if it's something you can live with, and if not, check out one of the other 2 whiteboard apps I cover, which is Jamboard, and my next video will be covering the Microsoft Whiteboard app. As always, please hit that like button down below. And while you're down there, take a second to subscribe to my channel so you can help support all my videos, and it'll keep you up to date with all my latest video tutorials as they come out. I try to do at least one a week. Some weeks I might miss a week, but I'll kind of make up for it by getting a couple videos out in a weekend. So the general trend is I try to do at least 1 or so a week. And if you have any questions or comments, or have a whiteboard app of your own that you really like that I haven't covered in one of these videos, leave it down in the comments below. I do check in on those comments and I do respond to them. So I'm always looking for more ideas of other apps I could check out that I might not know about. But if you do leave a comment below, I will respond. So thank you for watching today's video, and until next time, this is Adam on Tech, signing off.